Hello, this video is going to be meant to guide the demarcation efforts outlined on the public lands boundary update PDF form that you'll have access to. So first, we're going to start with step 1, logging into ArcGIS Online. You can find this link under step 1. First, click sign in. You'll have two options. You can either use Joe Lambert's or Matt Farmer's login account information, and then you're going to sign in. After you're signed in, you're going to navigate to the Groups tab on the upper ribbon. Select KDWT Private Lands Edit. For our first example, we're going to follow along the PDF and we're going to select Handicap Accessible. Open this drop-down arrow at the top right. Open in Map Viewer Classic with full editing control. First, we will open the Base Map tab and select Imagery Hybrid. You can use the scroll wheel on your mouse to change the map's extent to zoom in and out, and you can use the left pad on your mouse to drag around. For this example, we're going to be using Tuttle Creek Wildlife Area, and we're going to pretend that our handicap access boundary is right here. So to edit, you need to select the Edit tab in the upper left ribbon, New Feature, and then Start Drawing. And for this example, we're going to pretend that the boundary follows North Otter Creek. And anytime you get an intricate boundary, it's going to require multiple clicks, opposed to as if we were just in a square area. When you're drawing out these boundaries, if you want to move the map extent, you can click and drag while maintaining your drawing. Continue to follow the creek. Now we're going to follow the road. Bend in the road's going to require a few more clicks. And when you're finished, you're going to double click it quickly. And now we have a handicap access layer. We'll list the wildlife area name, Tuttle Creek, and you can populate these as you see fit. We're done. We can click off of it. And now that's updated in the handicap accessible layers. If I wanted to edit this, maybe I drew it out wrong. You click it once, hit the X button to close it. Click it again, and now you can edit these vertices individually. If I wanted to undo this, I would just select the undo button again until it was gone. Now I'm going to redraw something for the purpose of figuring out how we can save our layers to the layer file. Close. Intuitively, we'd want to use this to save, but this is just saving the map, and we're editing the layer within a map. So what we have to do is go to our handicap accessible layer here, which is under the content tab. Click the three dots. Wow. All right, to save your layer, click on the three dots here under the handicap accessible tab and you'd save layer. It looks like this one's auto saved already, and that's why it's blanked out. All right, this will be the same process for editing the refuge layer, the and the youth mentor layer, and then obviously the handicap accessible layer. Now for our actual wildlife areas, we're going to go out of this, go back into the private lands edit group. And we're going to open up the KDWPT wildlife areas export. Same thing you did as last time. Open in Map Viewer Classic with full editing control. So we have the KDWPT wildlife areas export layer open. We'll toggle on the imagery with labels base map like we did in the previous layer. An important thing to note here is that any refuge, handicap, or youth access layers that you're going to draw out will be overlaid on top of this map. So the overlay will show the layers stacked on top of the wildlife area. So there won't be any need to manipulate these access boundaries within this wildlife area layer. So as you can see that there's already existing polygons represented and visualized in the map. To edit these, we can go about this two ways. We can select the edit button, and then we'll be able to click on this, click on it again to get the vertices to show up, and then you can close this. And now let's say this boundary wasn't correct and it actually extended all the way out to here. We can drag these vertices out and now they would be correct if this was actually something that we wanted to change. And if we had an erroneous thing here and we messed up, we could click out of the polygon and select the undo button, and then we'd be done. If editing the boundary becomes too tedious, we can do what we did in the handicap accessible layer and completely draw out a new boundary. So let's say we wanted to manipulate this boundary to extend this way, but it just wasn't quite working out. We could new feature, click to the road, click down, scroll wheel to zoom in. Double click, we're done. populate the table. And now we have a new addition to our wildlife area boundary. So this was just an example. We don't actually need this, so I'm going to delete it. So that's how to edit and add polygons to the KDWP wildlife area export layer. A side note, any of these US United States Army Corps Engineer lakes in the Kansas City district, we already have the appropriate layers for. So Tuttle Creek, Milford, Melbourne, Wilson, Perry, Hillsdale, and Clinton, and Melbourne. The only thing we don't have for those is the handicap accessible layers and youth mentor, but we have the refuge and wildlife area. So that concludes this. You can always rewatch this again, or you can reference the PDF file that also details this. Instead of a video, though, it uses screenshots. Thanks. And if you have any questions, you can email me at justin.jones@kis.gov or call my cellular at 620-388-0728.